we go again, buckle up. So there's something else missing, and I'll go into that. Again, they have multiple reasons that they do things. Again, when they think there's going to be, advantage for the psyop, the psychological torture. So I think I may have put my blood pressure medicine somewhere. Again, I had like 4 or 5 left in the other one, but I was going to pick it up yesterday. I was receiving text, let us know when you're going to get this medicine so we'll have it in stock. It was strange. Maybe that's what they do. I don't know. But somebody was definitely reading that text message and trying to screw my head up over it. Ugh. See, they know what they're doing as devils all day long. Again, what they say when you're in the government is you just have to get in their head. Now, if you're doing a legitimate investigation, I still wouldn't get in somebody's head other than lead them away from crime. But again, I never knew what that meant until I woke up. They're putting things in people's heads. It's in our language. I have a right to believe what it means. So none of this bullshit where you're going to, this guy's paranoid. Well, I'll show you paranoid, all right. Things will appear out of nowhere at you. Now, there's also signs that DHS is part of it. Again, I can only help you so much. But if you're going to come and attack me, and there are probably others on the planet, then you're going to suffer, and your agencies are going to suffer. So again, there appeared to be, and again, they may have seen it, and this was another trigger for them. Well, I was going to pick up my blood. They stopped me from going to the counselor somehow, which was probably not the right move because they got to help me with my VA and everything else. But I was going to pick up my blood pressure medicine, so they're probably trying to get me to stop taking that next. Why do they do it? Because other people stop taking their medicine. They're with narcos, man. Some of the cops that aren't anti-ICE are anti-ICE. They know this. You just don't say anything. They don't support ICE, but they don't go against ICE. But that doesn't mean that they're not anti-ICE. Now, ICE may be anti-ICE, and DHS may be anti-DHS. Because if they're coming after me and effing my life and not paying me, God might get them. And probably would get them. There was definitely an effort to make it look like I was being supported by DHS. Now, what I see online may not be what you see online. So I don't even know if it was really there. Again, they're laughing because that's what we want. But again, if I was born in the internet age, it would probably have killed me. Well, because you depend on the internet. And again, they tried to force me into that by removing the rest of my life. Oh, those people in New Mexico, plenty of them are deported. Others have died of overdose. Others have, are living the life that I'm living. At some point, a drug boss said that one there gets nothing. Or there's some whore for some organization, a prostitute. So again, God came to try. And then they'll go, why is God letting this happen? Because God sent his real man. Not your churches, not your synagogue, not your Sikh Gurdwara people, not your Hindu temples. He sent the real man. And you killed him. Well, you have to understand, in the government, there are people that don't care about the government. They don't really care about the mission. They look like they do, but they don't. They're just there for self-promotion. So they see me as a threat because I'm better than they are, but they can't do it without me. So they craft this PSYOP thing that's insane, and then they get paid millions for doing it throughout their lifetime. Again, they're not going to walk up and say, here's $1 million, unless you're like a Weinstein operator. like you're in, quote unquote. Then they probably said that after I left. I walked around the office going, "You're in," and just kept walking. One person in the government was real. That was Rick Guzman. Tell you, he's going to heaven. Rick Guzman has no worry about anything about heaven. I'm telling you right now. That of all the, I don't think there was anybody else real. Well, I guess that guy from Ohio, but he was real. Maybe that was it. May have been a couple other, but I don't think so. He may not even be a deputy. He was looking at an FBI investigation. I mean, to me, it shouldn't have got to that level. It should have been just internal. He bought a badge that he wasn't supposed to buy, but he said, I'm collecting badges. I didn't see it. It was like on eBay or something. So again, he was probably getting hit because the deep state was killing him. And he was trying to explain to me what it was, and I was asleep. I didn't know his terminology. So he timed us around a VA compensation. Also, maybe taking my blood pressure medicine. I think I put it somewhere, but I can't find it. But I've looked pretty good. So if you bring it back and try to put it somewhere, it probably won't work. You've done that before. So again, just telling you right now, if Trump fails punishing the narcos for being the criminals and devils that they are, they will be shot in the streets. And so it will include automatic weapons. In fact, that could start in 6 months or less. I don't know. But it's out there. It's going to happen. They're not going to let you sell out our kids, man. Even if they want to take drugs because you're brainwashed. Yeah, some people may have people breaking into their homes. These people you see online, and they're focusing them on ICE. Right. I'm not focused on anybody. I'm just telling you that if it is them, they'll be cursed. And I'll investigate further. I'm not going to sit in here and just let you break in. In fact, breaking in here is violent. It's violent crime. Of course, you're not going to speak about psychology. That's another thing that, maybe DHS doesn't see it, but if you don't make that psychological operation case, then you're not going to make the case. I'm just telling you right now. You're probably out in the streets. Some of your agents are engaging in it. You don't want to do it. That's your problem. Yeah, I know you'll personally have money, and you'll be protected by the scammers. Well, again, you do when you do that, all of you do power the money being the root of all evil. Well, it condemns the planet and condemns money further, and shores up what Rabbi Yeshua ben David said about rich people not getting to heaven. I mean, I'm just telling you. The more you have, the more responsibility you have. You all try to reverse it. The less somebody has, the more responsibility they have. Now, it has nothing to do, again, it has nothing to do with the pornography as far as they're ruling me for looking at pornography. They're ruling me for investigating. Right. Shit. But at that point, who are they? They're the criminals. Yeah, they were able to do some. There's a lot of magic running, but it's not all. I don't think it's all magic. And again, they took something, and they took something that they would know in the morning. I would see it. Right. The two things they supposedly took. I know they took the filters. Right. I wouldn't notice it till the morning mostly. And then the blood pressure medicine also. Okay, it's not just a woman, even though you try to project that to say that it's Jonathan Luna's girlfriend. She's part of it back when she was part of it, but obviously it involves devils all over the planet. Well, that's part of it to put her in that position for me to hyper focus on her. Part of their psyop, which again, I can go back through history and understand who people were, where people would just relate things to me and, didn't mean anything to me. I just went through with life, But when they got me with it, then I'm like, okay, so that the courthouse has a history of that. And I know that through some things like Carruthers, deputy, not Carruthers, Carruthers was a sellout. Cassells, Deputy Cassells, who became a sheriff after he was a marshal or a sheriff's deputy, investigator or something like that. He told me about something that happened in the courthouse involving one of the VSP guys. Well, yeah, Cassells left because you're all criminals. I didn't know. And he was another person who used to do the work while they all left off. Right. At a certain point, you're not a rookie. You know what I mean? Right. 10 years later, they're still trying to treat me like a rookie. It's because they want to kill me. Right. But he told me about this guy in VSP who had a psychological thing go on, and they got me with it. Right. But again, there were others that had other things happen, such as Doug Beck. I think that's the guy's name. I don't remember the other guy's name. So again, I'm just telling you, the best thing for you to do is to pay me. And then I can get a life that's somewhat normal. Now, again, I always say if. And again, what I say keeps people alive. So you got to make sure people aren't doing stuff from within your organizations. I need my own house. You need to give me enough money to buy a house. Just letting you know that you owe me more than that. I'm through rent from people. I'm through with it. Again, if I can't get there, it's on you. I'm reversed. They're hacking my devices, so I can't use this Hebrew font. And they represent themselves as Mossad. Could be, but who knows? But like I said, I was in Beth Jacob. I predate your birth. Your families are corrupt. It's the reason we couldn't continue on. That's how everything works. If your families weren't corrupt, I'd have been a rabbi. But of course, then deep state wouldn't have taken over. One of the signs is how somebody's hated, an organization is hating, and they have conflict with the government. Then all of a sudden, they're the favorite of the government. because they took the money. Oh, they're all over my phone. There's no doubt. But I'll tell you, the narcos aren't going to win. The government sells us out. People will be in the streets. Okay, so let's go to the idea. I know DHS is part of it and was part of it. Okay. DHS is having a rough life, aren't they? Even if you can still arrest people, even if you can still fight these people and beat them, it's not an easy life, is it? Because just think about the life before. You just walk up, you're under arrest, we're detaining you. Kind of a sleepy kind of situation. Oh, you got me. I mean, they do try to run, but not what you're dealing with now. So what's happening is people online are encouraging them to run. So again, it's not. So if anti-ICE, well, that's another part of the conspiracy. So if the anti-ICE people are online encouraging them to run and they run, there's no, again, I explained how the conspiracy laws have to be changed or something has to be done. Again, you did material support of terrorism, I think, after I said that, or maybe before, I don't know. But that works kind of in that way. An internet conspiracy where there's no agreement. The agreement is this: I go to your website, I read something, and then I do it. So that constitutes really an agreement of sorts. But then you get into the thought police, and you can't do that. So I don't know. Well, that's what's happening. They're encouraging them to run on social media, and then that's causing them to run and to resist. Again, it's probably something you could describe in court. It doesn't go to, I guess it goes to proving the nexus of what's going on. But I don't think you don't actually prove that part, a criminal conspiracy with that part. And again, you could say this is what their criminal conspiracy is doing. Even past these people making agreements, we have people online going to their videos and to their websites. And it's, again, even the PTA. What is the PTA doing? It's resisting arrest. That is arrest. Right. We can split hairs and say it's detention, not arrest, but that's arrest. The system screwed up. It should not be a civil matter. Again, they're trying to be nice and they got burned. Right. Well, what's going to happen is it's going to get to the Supreme Court, and a lot's going to change there. As far as Abrego Garcia, that's one person. You probably should let him go. Every time you move to move it in the other direction, you semi-win, but you don't win because you just need to get rid of it. I'd agree to Costa Rica. I thought that was his attorney's bullshit. I thought because I remember that Costa Rica agreed based upon something, because they may not have agreed. We don't. That may be part of what the judges may be false, and then the judge's thing doesn't stand up. Well, Costa Rica agreed to whatever the Trump administration was going to do based upon that plea agreement. It may have involved Trump sending, $1 million to Costa Rica. Right. So I don't know if the attorneys made a deal with Costa Rica. Well, Costa Rica agreed based upon the plea agreement, as far as I know. So the judge saying that Costa Rica agreed, did the attorney assure that check to see if that was true? Right. Just because the Trump administration said somebody agreed that if he pleads guilty, they'll take him, it may be hinge on that plea agreement, and then Trump sending $1 million or $10 million to Costa Rica. Right. So I don't know if the attorney made a deal, because I haven't seen anything in the news where Costa Rica said we'll take him. I'll try to Google that. So again, I don't believe that I'm going to get VA compensation. I couldn't get to do all the paperwork I needed to do. I lost contact with my attorneys when I moved here. Again, I was hit in the move and after the move. Right. So again, that's one of the things to look for where a police department or a chief is not pro ICE. Because normally they would be. I'm not saying they have to go out there and like on what I'm doing. But in your interactions, you can read it. Well, it might mean that they're with the narcos. That's generally what it means. Anti-ICE police departments are with the narcos. That's generally what it is. And the sex traffickers. Again, DHS may have actually been with it once upon a time, or some of the people there. Now, we don't know, because it could be Hawaii PD claiming that they're DHS and asking for payment, or it even could just be anyone on the street. Apparently, a sex trafficker in Hawaii was paying somebody. They claimed to be DHS. It was the scene from Serpico. Right. DHS went in to arrest her, and he said, "You can't be DHS. I paid the guy last week or something." But it could have been Hawaii PD, and they just say they're DHS. Could have been Hawaii 5-0. See, it took me out of government because I've been all on it. I don't know if anybody was. I did highlight it. Again, they're devils, so there's metaphysical things happening also. But if you give me my place to live like I'm supposed to have, like I tried to move in when I had enough money. Because when the downturn hit, I still had income. That first downturn in like 2008. So by 2011, 2012, I got my credit back up, and like 2015, I started looking, and they blocked it. Again, I didn't have all the information I do now about how they're blocking things. Look, he's trying to do the hyphonics thing. Delete it. And now they're going to blame it on hyphonics. They're mad. I'm investigating. That's for sure. Yeah. Okay. So the husband, I know it's supposed to be prayers. We'll get to it in a minute. The husband in the case, Savannah's husband, shows that somebody's harassing him. The way it's just look at it, body language in the airport. Even the media said he walked through the airport with his head held high. So I don't know what they were getting at. It's weird that they said that. But again, you don't have to look at that. You can just look at his facial expression. No, I don't think it's just general harassment. They might be anti-deep state. Right? Now, the people that abducted may not even be part of the deep state, but if they're narcos or something like that, the curse, effectuates. No, that was the key. You had to let my life, like everybody else's life, it goes somewhere. I didn't have the money they had, but God had made way. No, there's no doubt that they blocked. So again, if I could have pushed through, because I'm only one person, and there's hundreds of people doing this to me. I don't know where it is now, but that's where it was. So if I could have pushed through to the point of buying it, it probably would have been sold. Every house I went for was sold. They're pulling it off the market, that kind of thing. That's what they were doing to me when I bought my first house. There was always something. But it was a realtor that wasn't deep state, and he sold it to me. Then there was something like, you bought it out from underneath someone else. In reality, we didn't have a lot of money. That person had more money, and he got his house anyway. Yeah, the neighborhood I lived in attacked me. I had him under investigation at a certain point, but I couldn't sustain it. And again, it was most likely the deep state. Right. My neighbors are most likely deep state paid. They psyoped me when I dated my girlfriend. Never saw any of them again until I dated my girlfriend. That dude was probably MI5. He doesn't have to be MI5 to be MI5 or MI6. If they put him in the motion in life as a businessman. In fact, he had the house that probably should have been mine at some point. It was a Stephen Fuller home. And I am Stephen Fuller in, but the planet doesn't honor the end. Right. There's no doubt that I'm architect and Stephen Fuller in. Which means, okay, so this is how life works. So if I'm Stephen Fuller in, and I help Stephen Fuller metaphysically, I just get the money to buy the house, or I have an opportunity to buy the house. It just comes up at a price, whatever the price is. Which means that one was probably sold at a low price that I could have afforded. So again, whatever it is, I don't care. Right? But that person was from England. I don't even know if he was a U.S. citizen. Later, he came up as MI5, MI6. But it doesn't mean that he's MI5, MI6. He's in MI5, MI6, but he's not really in MI5, MI6 because MI5, MI6 owes me. So it means that MI5, MI6 is taken over. Same way CIA was taken by criminals. That's why the country's failing. But we got money. That's where it always goes. That's why they restrict their victims from having anything. I would have. The closer I got to it, the worse it got. First, it was going to be a money pit. Then I said, wait, no, I'm going to look at a newer home. And I found Huntsville was a great investment. Home was like, they asked him 180 or something. 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Some ceilings were like 11 feet in there. Built within the last 5 years or so. 5 to 10 years. But I mean, nice lot, everything. That would have doubled in price. Right. And it wasn't a money pit. And it was in Huntsville, a good place to live compared to, the other places I was looking were a little bit rural, a little bit too rural, maybe. And again, I figured out, again, God steered me. Because he showed me that there is some dump in Alabama, so you have to actually live outside this zone, or you have 3-headed chickens, and that moved me to Huntsville because I was looking more central. Huntsville's one of the few safe places to actually live in Alabama. No, that's how. See, a lot of people think it's something different. They stalk you with your emails and your text messages, and sometimes they put wiretaps up, and they're thinking into that. So they are devils. Really so. So when I was in Kansas, there was only one doctor I could see. some guy from India. So India tried to pay me back a little bit. It's kind of a little bit late for the hearing, but right. But he helped me with a bunch of things. He gave me like all these 90-day supplies of medicine, so that when I would come here, you know. So I can't find any other bottle. Well, I may have put it somewhere. Let's open up the new one. So again, no matter how much I help you, there's a certain point where the Lord God will remove that help. If because that's the difference in my life. At a certain point, when Hashem woke me up, that there was no longer this forgiveness. Right? I would say 9/11 is the lack of that forgiveness. Also, again, I'm not condoning 9/11. I'm simply telling all of you that it happened for a specific purpose. All right, I got to get rolling here because I got to get to my appointment. So we're going to do the prayers now.